is it's week 5 we're coming into, and they're still like every video is like, you know, them like in like black and white frame, like dark compressed, like, yeah, when Caps left, it hit me really hard. Like, it's at week 5 now. Like, fucking, how long is this gonna last for?
A lot of the posts was like footage from Worlds and stuff. You know?
I know.
And they were like comparing Nemesis to Caps and stuff, and all that was like honestly quite sad to watch. But yeah.
And then every stream of Reckless is like, yeah, I mean, I think after the first week when I was getting to terms with Caps leaving, it's like, it's unreal. And how emo are these motherfuckers? How emo are these guys? All right, this is going to be episode 28 of Listen Loco. And since, for once, I actually booked the guest, obviously I've got like, you know, the best player in Europe who's literally just fucking around now. He's so bored of winning the ULCS that when they started the LEC, he was like, I think I'll just fucking win it as AD carry this time. If that double F guy could win all the titles as AD carry, I'd probably do it. So we've got Perkz here, AD carry of G2. Or is he though? Or this is the first question for you, Perkz. Everyone else is all on your nuts. Like, oh, you're fucking amazing. How do you play AD carry as well? Like, if you were going to switch roles from mid lane to AD carry, it would be pretty cool if on the team that you tried to do the role swap, the person replacing you in mid was Caps, just hard carried all the way through every game. And then in lane with you was Mickey X, probably the best lane support in Europe. It's a pretty sweet setup to try out any role in, isn't it?
Yeah. Basically, that's the plan. I mean, that was the plan. Have Caps carry me and Mickey carry me on lane, and then either way I go, in lane I get carried, and after lane I get carried, and yeah, I can win title by just getting carried. That's
because you know, like people obviously would think like if you switch role like that, you probably have to play like very conservatively, you know, while you're figuring the game out, etc. It seems like you guys have gone pretty all out, right? Trying to play pretty aggressive.
Yeah. I think definitely we started stronger. I mean, a bit stronger than I expected. I mean, I would expect us to be the best team. That's why the roster was created, right? But like our like how much we are winning, and how much we were winning like in the first month of scrims, like in January, and like even though we were like only like 6-0 in LEC, it felt like we were like 100-0 because of how our screens were going, right? And that's the problem where we have to like not get cocky or work harder even to like stay on top, etc. So yeah, we are working through it right now.
Thing is though, when you say that, like, you know, like that all sounds like great stuff. Like your coach probably told you 5 minutes ago, yeah guys, I know we're winning every single game we've ever played of League of Legends, even when we just actually pick stuff that isn't in the meta. But if we could not get cocky, if we could all stay reasonable, you already had some games in the LCS you should basically have lost. Like what was that one where you were like 5k behind or something?
Yeah, well that comes basically like from our screen. I mean, I don't even know if we were ever like that far behind. Like even in the game against Excel that we almost lost, we were like 3k ahead on laning phase, and then we made like an int dive. And I feel like the whole time, I mean, I don't remember, but I think the whole time in the game, maybe we were like maximum like 1 or 2k down. Even though it felt like we were more down, we were actually not that much down in the game. We were just basically literally running into them and fighting them when they're like the most down, like 5-5 brawl comp, you know, where they just have to press ults and they win, you know. And when we stopped doing that, we actually won the game. And yeah, Caps was really hard smurfing the game as well. That helps. But yeah, we are learning.
Right, Loco, I know you spent your whole life trying to become a really good AD carry, and he's done it in about 2 weeks. But if you have any questions, you know, maybe he can give you the secret how you get it done. So, you know.
Were you afraid at all that, could you reach absolute top level with mid lane? Were you confident that you would reach the same level as AD carry, or you might struggle a bit and not get to the same kind of level?
Well, I mean, I would lie if I said I didn't have my doubts when I decided to roll sub, because like, I was playing a lot of solo queue, and I was just playing like really aggressive, like a millionaire, right? Mm-hmm. I was not playing like an AD carry. I was playing more like a millionaire, where I was like trying.
By the way, Loco, just for translation, he means like an EU mid laner. I know you watch Bjergsen a lot, you know, and he's not aggressive at all. He's just basically giving his whole career up. But yeah, sorry, I just had to, you know, for the Western fans there, Loco. You know, like not everyone's from Europe like us, you know, mate. I keep going anyway.
Yeah, basically, I was trying to play really aggressive and just push my limits all the time. And then at some point, I was like, Holy, like I'm inting so much. I don't even know if I can like play this role like seriously. It's hard to not int, you know. And then I just realized that the role is just a lot easier than what I thought it was. So yeah, basically I don't know. I feel like AD is just such an easy role to play that.
Doesn't it make you start wondering? You know, all those players like Forgiven just talking shit on everyone for years and years. It's like all you do is just left click, you know, and then right click a minion. That's it. Like what? You know, there's no spells. It's nothing. It's garbage, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know. Like literally, only thing you have to do is hit minions.
I know.
It's actually.
And yet they're literally just like, oh, look at that. See the way I hit 200 minions in that game. I'm fucking the best player in the world. No roaming, nothing. You in fact you sit there while someone else roams. It's ridiculous, isn't it?
Yeah, it's actually funny. I don't know. AD carries players have been getting away with stuff for too long, with like complaining and stuff. Like, this is not how it works. Yeah.
Where do you see yourself in terms of AD carry level? Players like Upset, Reckless. Do you already see yourself better than them?
I mean, not necessarily, but not necessarily worse either. Like, I feel like I thought Upset was the best AD in Europe. Like, even last summer, right? Even though when Fnatic won,
Sure.
I thought he was better than Reckless. But Reckless was obviously smurfing the worlds and like the whole year in general, right? But he has his own playstyle where like he's never changed, and he just plays like that. I mean, it's not true that he never changed. Like he was playing, at first he was playing the Canon style, which was like 2017 summer, right? He was like playing.
I was 2016, but yeah.
He was playing really no. In 2016, Fnatic was really boosted, and in 2017 he like they were bad at the beginning. And he's like, okay, I'm gonna play Canon now and Twitch and stuff, and just like split push. And then I don't know what happened. That 2018 he became a Tristana one trick.
Because he was getting carried from every other role, wasn't he? Like he had fucking sick mid laner. The top laner was really good. Oh, wait a second. Sorry, Perkz. My mistake there, mate. I didn't want to embarrass you and show you up there. I meant Reckless, obviously. You know, he was getting carried, of course. No, that's Reckless's history, isn't it? When the team was bad, he tried to play like carry style, which I respect. You know, he was the MVP when he did that. But then when he has all his other lanes are amazing, as an AD carry, you should let yourself get carried for the first 20 minutes, right? It's kind of your job.
Yeah, it's kind of true. I mean, like a little bit, you know, there is some truth to it, but yeah, I think Upset is still really good, and yeah, I mean, I definitely think I'm up there, or I'm not sure if I'm the best or not the best. That doesn't really matter. Like my team is just gonna win anyways.
Right, since we have like limited time before you go, like we'll ask you a couple more questions about G2, but then we'll talk about the other teams, right? So one thing I do want to know is, right, you know when it was announced that Caps was going to join this team, and you could tell by the way the Fnatic people have reacted then and since that like it was like last minute news for them, basically. They themselves didn't know this move was going to happen. Like even though they got really mad along the lines of like, oh, everything's just bloody poaching. Like, even if that's not true, didn't it? If it's your main rival that gets that triggered, that has to in a way be satisfying, right? Like, they were so salty, weren't they?
It was really funny to see like the first when it first got like a leak that it might happen, like on Reddit and stuff. Like the comments were just really hilarious, and then yeah, I don't know. It's quite funny that Fnatic loses like their best player and he goes to the biggest rival team and stuff. Like it's all this, like the fact of like the whole idea of that was like so intriguing to like both me and Caps and Carlos that like it just like had to happen. You know, it just seemed too funny to like what could happen if it doesn't happen, right? So it's like you couldn't pass on this kind of like opportunity.
Yeah, you got to know, right? You got to know if it could be godlike.
Can I ask?
The only thing is though, like one thing that I do. Oh, go with it, Loco.
What if so? Caps already play stuff like Vayne, right? And then whoever is role swapping is kind of bending the knee. Like G2 is your home, like it's your team. Like you've been the face of G2 for so many years. Is there a reason why you swap to AD carry and not the other way around, where Caps swaps to AD carry?
Well, it's probably because I think that I thought the best roster is that if I play AD and Caps plays mid and we get Mickey, and the reason to do that is literally nothing else, and I thought that was the best way to do it.
Isn't that kind of saying Caps is a better mid laner than me when you perform better than him at Worlds, and arguably like 2018 was a big rivalry between you two for being the best European mid.
I didn't really mind. I didn't really mind about that. I mean, like a lot of people would think that you would mind about it or something, you know. But it's like at some point you just have to grow over this rivalry stuff and stuff. I mean, like Caps is really cocky, and he always every day tells me, like, brings up his like solo kills and stuff, and I don't know, he's just very very happy about his solo kills. So then I bring up my 2017, right, back when I was winning. So it's just a funny relationship. There is nothing like, there is no bad blood, and it didn't really affect me when I was making the swap. So yeah, I mean, the only thing was, it was strange, right? Like it was really strange, but I didn't see any other option. And this seemed very interesting as well, because it kind of gives me the opportunity. I always wanted to, like, I don't know, be the best player in the West, or be the best, like become, right, at some point.
Sure.
But I want to become the best player in the world, right? Like, let's get straight. But there's like Faker who's won like 3 worlds, so I have to like set a bit smaller, you know. Let's go first best in the West, right? Like let's take it step by step. And I thought that if I can establish myself as a top AD carry, as well as I was a top millionaire in the world, that would just solidify me as like the best player.
Wouldn't Caps get all the glory if G2 won something, right? I mean, obviously, like as AD carry, you'll still do your job, but it would be Caps, and still right now, like everyone is talking about, Caps is the best player in the West. Like by you giving up that mid lane spot to Caps, aren't you kind of relinquishing, hey, he's going to be the best player in Europe, he's going to be the best player in the world?
Honestly, even if he's the best player in the world, I don't mind, as long as he's giving me those LEC trophies.
Plus, here's the other thing, right? All you need to know is this. Normally, when a player leaves a team, right? So think about when like Doublelift left CLG or whatever in that scenario. Like in that case, he got kicked. But you know, when a team, normally the whole message the team that has lost the player in any context uses is like, oh, we've moved on, you know, like we don't care about that anymore. That was last season, you know, we're just about this season. The way you know Fnatic is in such bad trouble, like in the LEC right now, is it's week 5 we're coming into, and they're still like every video is like, you know, them like in like black and white frame, like dark, just like, yeah, when Caps left, it hit me really hard. Like, it's at week 5 now. Like, fucking, how long is this gonna last for?
A lot of the posts was like footage from Worlds and stuff, you know?
I know.
And they were like comparing Nemesis to Caps and stuff, and all that was like honestly quite sad to watch. But yeah,
and then every stream of Reckless is like, yeah, I mean, I think after the first week when I was getting to terms with Caps leaving, it's like, it's unreal. And how emo are these motherfuckers? How emo are these guys? Because isn't that, like, here's the thing, you must yourself, Perkz, be kind of shocked by how it's going for Fnatic, right? Like, they still have all these really great players, except they only lost 2.
I mean, I thought they would not be, like, this bad. Like, yeah, I didn't think they would be this bad. I think they're just having probably, like, some internal issues. Like, there's no way, like, that a team that has been to Worlds Finals just is 2-6 in LEC. Like, there's no way, right? So there must be, like, some stuff going on, you know.
What do you think happened? Do you think Caps was that valuable?
Yeah, I mean, I think Caps was just that valuable, yeah.
So it was all Caps. So with Caps, they're world finalist, and without Caps, they're last place Europe or second to last place Europe.
Okay, I mean, I don't.
Here's the thing.
I don't think it should be like that. Like, I don't think it's that extreme. Mm-hmm. I just think that. Maybe, yeah. I mean, actually, maybe, yeah. Like, because when I was playing mid, I always thought that Brox and Caps were not that great together. But I always thought Caps was very good. So now that Caps is playing with Jankos, he still seems very, very good, and Brox are playing with Nemesis doesn't seem that good, right? So maybe Caps was the one who was covering for their weaknesses instead of them covering for...
Well, actually, this was something where, you know, when I had Grabs, the coach of G2, on the first episode of the EU podcast that I'm doing, one of the things he said was that he was actually kind of like impressed when Caps joined the team by how vocal he is in the game, like what he wants to do, what he's doing in the lane, etc. So if you look at Brox's career, like you said, when the past Fnatic's teams, Well, there was times where he just had like 3 winning lanes, and he just farmed this jungler, and people called him the best jungler already. So, like, even though I think at Worlds he did play amazing, I'm not going to say he's boosted, but I think it definitely helped him having Caps as a player.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
it's hard to argue against,
Yeah.
Because if you look, right, one of the things that I think if you look at the difference between the two teams, if you look at Fnatic, they look like they have massive problems with shot calling. Like, it looks like they have no identity in that sense, Whereas your team's just going balls deep on every fucking call.
Yeah. I mean, I think definitely we have like a lot of trust in the team and kind of like mutual respect. Everyone thinks everyone is very good, so that's why we always go together for the plays. And everyone, like, in fact, is like everyone is just very good, right? Everyone is winning their lane all the time and playing really, really well. And everyone has like insane champion pool. We can play a lot of champs on every role, so that just makes it a lot easier to work in such an environment. Yeah.
Right, I did a little video on this topic because, I mean, Loco just said there about how, Caps technically can play a couple of AD carries. And plus, nowadays, like, there's some stuff that you could swap anywhere, right? Is it actually possible that we will ever see a game where Perkz, you don't announce it, but then in the game you play mid and he plays AD carry, or someone else plays AD carry and you play a different position? Will that ever happen in an LEC game?
I'm not going to say it won't happen. It might happen. I'm not going to say it's going to happen. I mean, sometimes in our career, it will for sure happen. Like let's be real. But we have a lot of thoughts of what we should do or how we should approach this, And I, for example, I was really keen on role swapping, but now I'm changed my point of view and I don't want to role swap as of right now. Maybe in a couple of weeks I'll think differently. But I want to just go for. Now we were talking recently for the dinner. We were talking about how we have to go like 30-0 because that's the longest win streak.
Yes.
That's like Flash was, I think. They had like that long win streak or something. So we have to win EU. So that's 24-0. And then we have to win at least 6 games at MSI.
Who had that record? Flash Wolves,
yeah.
Yeah, Flash Wolves, I think, yeah.
That doesn't even count. They're just farming dog shit tight one of these teams. Come on, no, I'm just saying that rule doesn't count. Because I know what you mean, by the way, because actually I had the same thing happen. I once looked up online, like, what, years and years ago when SK Telecom went undefeated in that season, like when Faker had just shot.
2013.
I once looked up all the best win streaks in leagues. I was like, oh, there must be some amazing ones. Mate, literally like 80% of them were just people, when like Taiwan used to be in the GPL, it was just them farming like Vietnamese teams and going like 28-0. So like, what the fuck is this shit? Like, this isn't even a league. What is this? But anyway, let's get back to the LEC.
At least we have to beat the Fnatic win streak from 2015.
Of course,
right?
yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, we have to beat their win streak at least. At least we have to go 22-0, and then. Yeah.
There's one more question I wanted to ask you about the role swap. So G2 has been like very, very ruthless and business-like when it comes to rosters. When Emperor and who was the support? Hybrid, like they got let go after MSI for Zven and Mitty because Zven and Mitty were clearly better. You guys let Wadid and Yarn and Go because you guys are getting Caps and you're going bottom and you guys are getting Mickey X. So G2 has shown again and again if they can find an upgrade and it's better for the roster that they'll make that upgrade. When you bring Caps onto the team and you give him mid lane, and there is a chance you might struggle as AD, or further down the line, like you might not turn out to be a top class AD like you were a top class mid. Isn't that something that scares you, even in the slightest, where G2 has always been very business-like when it comes to their rosters and keeping the best players?
No. When I decided for sure I'm going AD, I knew I'm gonna be the best AD. No matter what, I'm gonna be the best bot laner. There was not even a slightest doubt that oh shit, like I'm gonna suck. I'm gonna be like worse than like bottom 3 ADs. Like oh no way, I'm going back. I already knew there is absolute no way I'm not gonna be the best. So I did it, right? And if I'm not, then it just sucks, right? And then I just accept it and go move on. I go to Team Liquid or something.
Yeah, exactly. No. The move I had was this. If it doesn't work out in this team, then what you do is obviously you have to go and join Fnatic to make the rivalry complete. And it's like, like Star Wars or something. That's like when you get redeemed from the dark side. You're like, no. Reckless comes to you like, there's still good in you. You're like, you can save me, Reckless. And what happens is you go and play AD carry in Fnatic and the Reckless switches to his true position of obviously like mage lane support, and then he's just playing Janna or something, and then there we go. It's all fitting together.
it
All
was-
of
it was
Thorin's
tough.
biased narratives.
Yeah, it could happen. I mean, it could happen that like I was really bad at it and I go Fnatic and then me and Reckless take over the world. Like
Exactly.
I could see that happening.
Yeah.
Oh, one last topic before we move on to other team. What do you think of Zven and Mitty, like especially on TSM, and then also now this year with TSM struggling again with just Zven? Like, what do you think happened to them when they moved over to NA? Because they were the best in the West.
Yeah. Well, I have very high opinion of both Zven and Mitty since I played with them for a long time, right? And they were very good when I played with them and like good teammates in general, right? So I learned a lot from playing with them, and it really like I thought when they would go NA that they would. I was pretty sure they were gonna win. I mean, I thought they were gonna win, right? Like how could they not win, right? And then they turned out to be like really boosted. I mean, TSM in general, not just like I thought Zven and Mitty was playing very well at the beginning until Hakuhu
Yeah.
hooked Mitty out of TSM. I really love this team, but yeah, I don't know what happened. I think that just what I thought was that they're joining the best NA team and they were in the best EU team, so they thought, oh, we have the best American players and we are the best from EU, so we're gonna just win no matter what, right? That's how I would think as well, and it made sense. But maybe just that their teammates were not as good as they thought they were. I mean, yeah, I don't know what else to say. Maybe we were just too good, you know, in G2 that they didn't get the same success in NA. I have no idea, and honestly, they probably just because I undervalued as well. They undervalued for sure the amount of time we spent on building the team, like from ground. Like seriously, there's so many things you have to go over in a year, where we were together for 2 years. So that was like even more, you know. And it felt like I can't even explain. The game felt so smooth to play. Like we knew what each other was gonna do before we even did it, right? Like we just knew how the game was gonna go, and we talked about. We mostly joked in game, and we were like playing like really good macro, every game. We were like mostly joking and just talking about how do we want to engage and stuff, you know? Because everyone already knew like what to do. So that obviously isn't there in new teams, and then lack of like individual talent or whatever maybe on TSM. I mean, I don't know, you know. Maybe also actually TSM had a boosted jungler. Oh, not a boosted jungler. Wait, cut.
I'd say they had a boosted jungler as well, but keep going, yeah.
Yeah, they didn't have a very good jungler. So, yeah, I think that's why TSM was also not very good. They didn't have a good jungler, yeah.
One thing that a lot of analysts said is Mitty has a way that he wants to play. When you talk about macro, when you talk about we knew what each other was going to do.
Yeah, he actually plays macro. He doesn't just ARAM down mid. I'm
sure like you learned a lot from Mitty. Do you think how Mitty wants to play and how TSM, like the original NA members, wanted to play had a clash, or do you think that could be true? Because that's what people say, Doran, like that Mitty
listen, I'm not laughing
disagreed.
The point's correct, Loco.
I have no idea. I mean, I just know that back then on G2, 2017, I mean, like Mitty was like teaching us macro right and stuff, and we were like all learning with him, and we were like all learning together. And then I wanted us always to play more aggressive. Like I was always the one who was pushing everyone to like, oh, if you see this guy making a mistake, you have to punish him. I was always telling Mitty. I was telling Mitty, go hook this guy. He can't walk that way because he was like walking in a way where he can't walk. You know? And then Mitty would like get stressed out and he would like miss the hook and he would like, oh, but don't tell him what to do. and then I would always play really aggressive and would be like, Mitty, be ready to eat me. When he would eat me, I would be like, where the fuck are you, Mitty? Like, why are you not eating me? You know? And then like stuff like that, you know. So that's like I think Mitty was just probably trying to teach the team how to play like proper game, but not like I don't know if that flashed them or not, you know, but I don't think he was trying to push everyone I don't think he was trying to push someone out of their comfort zone, like out of the like what is actually possible to do, which is like what I was doing. Like I was being really annoying, right? Like I wanted everyone to punish every single mistake there was in the game, but yeah.
And that's still the biggest mystery to me, like how Mitty and Zben did not do well on TSM.
That's the mystery, is it?
Yeah.
So the mystery is like let's look at history, shall we? So, what's this? Here comes like Froggen, one of the best mid laners in Europe, just comes to NA. Yeah, it's just not doing that well. Yellow Star, it's been like fucking world semis, won every LCS title, comes over to TSM, goes badly. Or comes Sven and Mithy, both of them at the same time, come over. It's not really doing even that well. Sven's become like a fucking reckless 3.0 from about 2 years ago, passive bot, scared to die. Mithy's just inting everywhere because there is no macro. You just go down the mid lane. He's like, fuck the mid lane again. What am I supposed to do? There's no genius move, is there? Like, what's the odds here? What's the common denominator? It's NA's shit, mate, not the players. They're all those players are wicked. Have you seen Mithy on OG now? He was rocking this last week. Sven's actually half decent. Sure. They're all turning it around. Yeah, that's you know what? You know the analogy I gave earlier about how Fnatic is still going on about like caps. Meanwhile, G2's like, what are you on about? That was ages ago. We're with a new team now. That's NA in general. Like y'all are just still going like, oh fucking, you're just looking like longingly over the Atlantic Ocean, like, oh EU, they're so jealous of us. Why are they always talking about us and thinking about us? Why do you think all these EU players have done this? In EU, everyone's like, who gives a fuck? You're like the development league, bro. Let's see you in like some World's Finals or some shit. Like, we're over here just doing stuff. You're just comparing yourself to us. You know what NA is? NA, the LCS compared to the LEC. Someone make a meme of this. Is like, it's like, you know when you go to the toilet in a urinal, in a public toilet, and some dude just looks over. Like, LEC's the guy going like, what the fuck are you looking at? Well, whatever. Admire me, motherfucker. And then LCS is the one looking over with loads of money in their pocket. Like, oh! Oh, what's going on over here then? Exactly, insecure motherfuckers. Anyway, I do we only have a limited amount of time with caps at Perkz, and you're just asking them all questions about TSM. You're
asking about questions about Sven and Mithy, not about TSM specifically, because he can answer about Sven. And I'm not.
You know what? Let Sven and Mithy made their own bed. Now they can lie in it and get fucked. There you go. Now let's move on. Sure. If you want to ask him about Mithy, ask him about OG. What do you think about the Origin lineup? Caps at Perkz, because obviously this was a team that, you know, started off so badly, but they look half decent now, right?
Yeah, I think Origin is going to be good. Yeah, like Mithy was surfing the map with Alistair last week, so I mean, we'll see if he can do it against us, because whoever they were playing against was just a faffing in lane. So, but yeah, Origin for sure looks better than most of the teams in LEC right now, and I think for sure they have good players, like their top and mid are good players, like they're known good players, and I think their AD is also pretty good, but he's not that known, Patrick, and he has like, I think it's really good for him to play with Mithy, rather than like him playing with someone who is not as experienced, right?
Okay. So here's the thing, on paper, like aside from Fnatic, the main rival in Europe this season was supposed to be the Misfits team. And obviously it started off really good, but they kind of are in a bit of trouble now. What do you think of this team?
Well, I personally didn't think they would be our main rival, even though everyone made them out to be the super team.
You know what? Wait a second. Even though Perkz, I totally accept that you're a player, right? Technically, we can't know what you think. There's a lot of people right now, though, who are doing that. Like, I never thought they were that good. Couldn't see a fucking peep from any of y'all online. What, could you never find your keyboard? You know, you open Twitter, you put an opinion, you press enter. There we go, you got evidence. Y'all just wait until they start losing, then, I never thought they were that good anyway. Yeah, sure you did, motherfucker. Yeah, okay, keep going.
It's true. I agree with you for sure. But I'm pretty sure I said it somewhere before already.
Okay, fair enough.
And like, just for the record, anyways, like they have players with big brands, right? Big brands.
Yes.
That's why the team looks very, very stacked. But in fact, they have good players. I'm not gonna say they're not good, because they are good players. They're all good players, but they're not exceptional players, and they're not players who are gonna carry you the game. Like I thought they would be the same team they were last year, with just like different players, right? Like,
yes.
You can say Fabian will probably be upgrade over Sencooks, right? And you can make, I mean, I don't know about Solat Alfari, because they are different strengths, right? They're different players. So, and it's definitely the same team. There's like Hans carries or Hans doesn't carry, but I thought they would be weaker now, because Hans was enabled a lot than Mickey, and where Gorilla is like known to be like the experienced guy, you know, the guy who is gonna like kind of like, you can say like Korean Meteor or whatever, you know, right? And but I think that without Mickey, Hans will not win as many lanes. And yeah, Mickey agrees as well. And so that's what I thought. I thought they would not be as dominant, because they would not have as strong of a bot lane, and then they would just not have anything to go off, because like Hans was not even carrying some games where he was ahead because he doesn't know how other champs work in the game.
Yeah.
So that's the problem with him, where he's like super talented and mechanically gifted, but he just doesn't carry the games because he gets one-shot by Wukong or Vayne. And so yeah.
I did think there is like a meshing problem because, as Perkz said, they have 5 good players, but they seem really directionless, and their drafts are really weird too. And it's one thing that's really weird to me that stands out is Soaz isn't playing that much tanks, and Soaz isn't blinding, and he's counterpicking a lot. And like right now, I think a core thing in the meta is people playing Urgot, people playing Sion in top lane and blinding and giving space for other people to counterpick. It's true.
Okay.
That's part of the meta, like top lane blind picking stuff like Urgot and Sion.
We don't do that.
I
we don't do that on G2. On G2, our top is scary.
But there's no one blind picking in Misfits, and it often ends up like support blind picking sometimes, like Tom Kench blind early. Like it seems like their draft is pretty garbo. And I also don't think Jesse's is going to be able to control all these players. I know Hussein, their original head coach that was really good, is in NA right now doing Overwatch stuff. So you have Jesse's over there with Soaz, Maxlor, Febibin, Hansama, Gorilla. I'm not sure like how that team like kind of has a hierarchy or functions, because with like the players and the pieces they have, they should be much higher up. They should be doing much better. There has to be some kind of internal struggle or some kind of lack of synergy that's going on.
No, but I kind of think Caps. Like, I don't know why I keep saying Caps. It's like in my brain I've just written.
It's fine. It's a
G2 mid laner, and so I have to just call you whoever the G2 mid laner is now. No, the thing is, I kind of agree with Perkz. Like, the problem with that team, this is why actually, when I look back now, I wonder why I was so hyped about them, because I guess the part that I didn't know about what the lane setup would be like is that I actually think Gorilla joining the team was a bad move now, actually, because.
Really?
The bot lane they have, it's like he says there, like they don't seem to have any direction. Like this makes me wonder in his past teams what Gorilla was doing, because like he doesn't look, mate, like he leads the map and leads the lane and all that sort of shit. Like, and that's why actually their bot lane's in trouble, because the most overrated thing about Hansama was he's just an AD carry. He's not someone who like has some super mind for the game. Like he's saying a bit, he's more like a turret. You have to sort of point him in the right direction. So that bot lane looks lost, and then Febivin just farms. Okay, that's what he does. And I actually think the big problem in the team is like the only really good player at the moment is Soaz, because even Maxlor actually looks a bit worse this year than he did the last year for some reason. So, like it's one of those ones where it's like if you were trying to make like say you wanted like a crazy snack, right? You were like, right, I'm going to get some ice cream. Oh, who's like chocolate ice cream? And I'm going to put some like whipped cream on it. Like I'm going to get, and then you just start adding all your favorite stuff together. But at the end, it might just be horrible. You just go, it's actually, I've ruined that actually. Should never have put in the cream. It's ruined it.
I
should have just kept it all separate.
I have this problem too, like when I put like too much sweets, like too much sugar together, and it's like, but this one
feel a bit sick. Yeah, you're like,
yeah.
I regret that actually. I regret letting Locodoco con me into buying this guy on LCK.
Anyways, let's talk about Schalke. I think Schalke's actually been a super impressive team. What do you think?
They're basically the best team after G2.
Yeah.
If you look at the league, not in just the standards, like they look like the best team after G2.
How close is Schalke to you guys, in your opinion?
Oh well, I don't know how to say this without sounding like.
Just say it. It's your brand. Just say it.
Okay, so well, we are here.
Yeah. So you're like
Schalke's
LEC
here.
and they're LCS, right? Yeah, got it.
Where's the rest of the teams?
They're right beneath Schalke. I don't think Schalke is so far ahead of other teams. That's what I think. I think that they're. I mean, I think they're ahead of like the bottom tier teams for sure. But I feel like Origin and Vitality are like close to Schalke, and I think Misfits is right around there somewhere as well. But Schalke is for sure the second best. I mean, didn't Schalke like get really stumped by Origin? They did. But honestly, Schalke had really bad draft, and like Origin was really smurfing. So it's kind of like it's a best of one. So we have to see again. I think Schalke is quite good. Like I think the best thing Schalke has is their bottom. Like let's face it, like they have the biggest strength is the bottom, but it's not like they are very insane players either, So they don't really have anything that's gonna take them over us. Yeah.
No, I think if you look at Europe, like G2 is clearly the best. Then you've got like Like the next group's interesting because it's like Schalke, Vitality, and then maybe Misfits are in like the group after, you know, where it's like they've all got their own strength in their own way, you know, like Schalke doesn't have like the best players, but they look at the better team. Like the Vitality team just plays that super aggro style, which seems to work somehow in best of ones. And then obviously like Misfits has good players, but they haven't quite got the style together. Then after that, you've got like, you know, it's like at that point you could basically make like, you know, that famous meme where it's that Simpsons like scene where there's the two chimps that are fighting with like fucking knives and all those kids are just like watching them all fight. It's the LEC, that's like the top teams. That's like G2, Schalke, Misfits, Vitality. They're the people watching round. And then the monkeys in the middle, instead of just being those players, it's going to be a bunch of monkeys. So you've got like Splice, Fnatic, SK, and XL. They're all the chimps fighting each other to death, and everyone's just watching like, fight, shitters, fight. And then off in the side, there's the dead corpse decomposing. That's Rogue. So it's just like steam coming off it and flies and shit coming. Well, ironically, flies would keep visiting it, wouldn't it? To take all the good things out and then go away, because just a little Easter egg for anyone who knows about the management of Rogue. Anyway, so here's the question. What do you think, if you had to bet, right? Because obviously at the moment, nobody can beat G2. Who do you think is the most dangerous team to actually beat you? Because that doesn't necessarily have to obviously be the team that's below you in the rankings. It can be someone who has the best style to play against you. Who do you think would be the toughest team for G2 to play now that you've played basically everyone? You haven't played one team, basically.
Most dangerous team? Well, we didn't play Misfits yet, so I don't know how good Misfits is. Well, I don't know, maybe Origin. I feel like they had actually the closest game even when they were like, I mean, even though they got stumped after in 10 minutes, they had played like quite well against us. I mean, I don't know, honestly. Maybe Origin is, yeah. I don't know, maybe Schalke. No, I mean, maybe Origin. What do you think, Mickey? Huh? Oh, Mickey says Griffin.
Griffin?
Yeah. But unfortunately, talking about the LEC right now. So.
Well, ironically, actually, Griffin's amazingly, if you actually did play against Griffin, Mickey X would be one of the few players who actually might be better at his position. That Lehen's guy's fucking carried. I'm just saying it right now. Anyway, whatever. Everyone else is really good in that team, you know? No, the real answer obviously is the only team that can beat G2 is G2. So stay tuned, see if they fuck it all up. Maybe they start infighting, maybe they get too aggro.
That's actually true, yeah.
Maybe Jankos has to eventually play a jungler and not just press R. You know, maybe eventually he has to do some ganks, you know. We all know what happens when he starts those ganks.
Jankos one-minute for us last game. Like,
he did. He was pretty good.
Yeah, he was really smurfing. So he wasn't only pressing R on Karthus this time around.
It's true, but the problem is, I'll never be like Loco. You know, when I wrote that article, because it came from that Twitter discussion about, you know, how has League changed over the years, right? Obviously, the timing of that was actually like basically like maybe just at the very beginning of the split or before the split began. It's worse than I even said, Loco. Like, we actually have scenarios. Imagine this scenario in League of Legends where your team's ahead, but because your jungler is Karthus, he's doing the ultimate to start fights. He's doing the ultimate, and then your health all goes down like to 3/4 and a half, and then you just engage on the team and just kill them all. Like, that's not even jungling. What is that? Why is like the jungler now a season 2 mid laner? What the fuck is this? What is this abomination?
Actually, there, like we did like. Caps said like there's too many mid laners in the jungle. Like they should all bring them back. Like give us back Talia, Nidalee, Gragas, Karthus, all the champs. Like too many. Like honestly, mid is just so OP role. Like if you can like take mid laners away, put them jungle, put them bot, put them top. Like such a broken role, right?
Oh, I want to ask about one thing that your coach said. He said Fnatic, I'm not sure how seriously he meant it, but Fnatic could beat most teams in NA. Do you think there's truth to that, or do you think that's just shit talking?
Well, I don't know why he said that, but I at this point, after watching NA, I think it's true. Honestly, NA sucks so bad, man.
Wow.
I can't even. Okay, I don't know if it's just because I'm watching. When I'm watching, and there is like literally not even one. It's not one game a day. Every game goes over 40 minutes. Even Team Liquid games are like 30 to 35. Yeah. And I just don't understand how this even happens. And I think Team Liquid is actually good. I think Team Liquid is a good team. I respect Team Liquid, but I think everyone else is like Terry boosted. Wait, actually, C9 is not bad as well. I think C9 this is from watching play. I don't know the standings. I don't know anything. I know Team Liquid is undefeated. C9 is not bad. Team Liquid is good, and everyone else is really bad.
Where would TL or C9 place or be around if they went to Europe?
TL. Well, TL has like good mid and good bot for like compared to like European ones as well. Like they're not the best. They're like maybe like top 4 in their. Let's just like round out to like top 4. Let's say they're both top 4, but I think their top and jungle are a lot worse than European top and junglers. And yeah, maybe I'm wrong, but I that's what I think. And I think they could easily be like top 4, right? You know, I mean, I don't know. I think they're a good team, so they will for sure be top of the standings in Europe, I think. But I don't think they will lose a game in NA, for example. You know, like I think they have more chance of not losing a game than us, because they're not even like, even when they get challenged in the early game, it seems like everyone in NA is just like way too bad like to play the game. So they always go 5 mid and fight for every Drake, don't care about sideways, and
NA
then like even when they fight, they don't commit to a fight. They actually like go halfway, and then they go back out, and then no one dies. And I'm like, but please, just like if you fight, just at least commit. You know, just like flash in and don't be scared of dying, for example. And NA teams are just really really bad right now.
I think here's the thing. Even though I agree with Perkz, I think NA generally looks pretty bad. Team Liquid would be a very good team if they were still in LEC. Like I reckon they'd be like second or third. Especially because like they have the players to do it, but the difference would be for sure they would lose a whole bunch of games. Like there's a whole bunch of teams that would be like Vitality could beat them in a one-off. Of course, why not? Sure. Like look how they played. That's so difficult to play against. Misfits would match up decent. Schalke would be okay. So the key thing is, I think they would be a good team still, but they would just be one of a bunch of good teams. But then again, who knows? Because it all depends obviously on your star players as well.
They could easily be like a top, like really top team, you know, but they could not as well, because we just don't know. Like we have to we have to see when the match on MSI rivals rolls, whatever. But yeah.
Well, that'll be the new move. That's what no one's thought about, Loco, is what happens when LEC gets franchising, right? And then it gets more and more money, and it gets more and more viewers. And eventually, because the results already at Worlds are way better for Europe anyway, eventually the new move will be like, oh, you know, your career doesn't count because you just played in LCS the whole career. If you ever want to step up to the real level, then come over to Europe and then join one of our teams, and then let's see what you're made of. You know, that'll be the new thing.
Could happen. Honestly, LEC branding is really, really good this year. Like I get a lot more interaction on Twitter and in general, like when I stream as well, and on Instagram and stuff, like on all social media platforms. And it just shows how much Riot has done for us as well, and how much has G2 done for us. So yeah, it feels like a lot more people actually watch now Europe than they did before, or like actually follow the teams. So, and it's also because other teams make content as well. So
I mean, I'll give credit that LEC has been more popular, but do you think Riot will ever let go of NA being its like primary, like, I mean, Riot officers in NA. NA is broadcasted where it's a lot easier for Europeans to watch NA versus NA to watch Europeans. I don't think that Riot will ever let go of NA being its main like showcase and the main show for them.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Well, it just depends also on European Riot as well, because they like, I mean, I don't know much into this, but I feel like European teams and owners and Riot can like change how they want, like what times we want to play LCS and stuff like that, right? So I mean, I don't know much about this, but yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, I mean, isn't it weird not playing on Saturday, Sunday? Like that is like the prime hours. Like that is when most people are watching.
Well, it's not really weird for me, because I feel like it's quite natural for me for Sunday to be off day. It's been like since school, since before in LCS as well. Like for a long time, Sunday is like an off day, right? You know, and it's like at the beginning we used to play on even like Thursday, Friday, and then there was like were we playing on Wednesdays? No, we were not actually. Never playing on Wednesdays. I don't know, but it's I don't really mind when I play, because I just have one free day a day where I reset, and the other days it's mostly like just focus on league only. So that doesn't really matter which day that is. Just so it's in a schedule like 4 days. Super try hard, 2 days LEC with the team, and 1 day free day, and I like the schedule.
What they do, you see, Loco, is now that there's actually like a proper separation between the leagues, is when LEC finishes, they all go off to a bar, right, to celebrate playing the LEC. And then the thing is, they can always tell, like, if they've had too much to drink, if it starts to make sense, like the lineups and the macro and NA. If they see like LCS and they're like, actually, I think it's see what fucking TSM's not bad actually. They go, right, you've had too many. Take him home. He's drunk. Get him out. Get him some water. Get him to bed. And they're like, right, there we go. So
or you get the Wunder song. I don't know if you guys saw the Wunder song.
I did.
Yeah, it's really
doing a bit
amazing,
karaoke.
right? It's really insane. Like, or you get this kind of song. Yeah. So.
See, when I saw that video, I realized, like, you know, everyone in life has different talents, and what you should do is focus on the talents you have. So that video showed me Wonder really is just a really brilliant top laner.
Yeah, exactly, exactly that.
Yeah, there we go.
When I heard that, I was like, oh
Exactly.
wow, I'm really proud of my top laner right now.
Exactly. So, no problem.
What do you think about Jensen and Bjerg over in NA? Do you respect them as players? I'm sure you run into them a few times in international play, and you scrim versus them a lot too.
I really respect them both. Like I respected Bjergsen for, like when I started, I used to like look up to Bjergsen because he was very good and very popular, right? Like really popular. So I remember when I played my first final, and I played Zed, and I killed Pekka like for the winning game, and then Bjergsen tweeted like, "Holy, you're so good" or something, you know. And I was like, wow, like that feels nice, you know. So I think they're both still really good and top of their league, but I feel like personally, I think it hasn't helped them that they're in NA the whole time. I feel like EU solo queue and EU players in general just pushed you more. Like, yeah, basically EU players just push you more, and that's why they're not gonna be the best in the world, I think, in the role. But I think they're super good for their region, and they're better than the rest by like a big margin. Actually, I think Niski is doing really well as well. Yeah, I think Niski is up there with them. So, yeah.
What?
I just laugh at it. I'm just thinking about NA as a region, just generally. And it's like, here's the problem. You know, we're trying to take it seriously, guys. We're trying to act like this is a real thing. But as soon as anyone thinks of like NA solo queue, you just imagine, right? So in Korea, they're all just playing like 15 hours, like practicing. It's like, oh, that's really admirable, you know. In China, I don't know what they do over there. Like, fair enough, I don't have any comment on that. In Europe, you know, everyone's playing, but everyone's flaming each other. Oh, you asshole, like piece of shit. What are you fucking doing? Where's the jungler? Every jungler sucks. Like, that's just like constantly. That's how we Europeans are so good. You know, in Korea, Loco, the trick is that while you're like jungling, for example, you like move around the map doing your jungle, but then you also press all the like F keys, the home keys, and you move around the map. In Europe, it's like that. You play your lane, and then you also type in abuse to all your teammates. You have to multitask. You have to be able to do two things at once. Communication is very important. But here's the thing: if you go over to NA, doesn't matter who it is. It's like every video on like Double Lift's channels, just him like, haha, hey, me and my old teammates, we're going in. What's that? We've got matched up against Porky, man. Oh, this is going to be sick. And then everyone's like stream sniping and shit. It's like, what is this, professional players? What is this shit? What is this? What is this? Everyone's like, yay. And over in NA, everyone's like, yay, sub wars. Let's get into Trick 2G. Like, this is so whack. It's so whack. It's like asking if, like, some dude in the UFC, do you respect the guys in the WWE? It's like, I guess, you know, sort of. They're cool.
I honestly have nothing to say. If this was a year or two ago, I'd have replies. But right now, I do agree. Like, NA is in shambles, and I agree with like the NA macro
I mean,
thing.
I don't know what happened because when we screamed TSM in 2016, like they were better than us. Like 2016, they were better than us. Like I remember, like I was playing scrims, and I mean we were going like 5-5 against TSM, but I felt like they knew how to. Like I was not getting many blue buffs. Like Svenskar and Bjergsen would always invade my blue buff. I was not getting the buffs, so I don't know where they were going, but I was not getting them. And then in 2017, I felt like NA was kind of bad. But then we like got fucked at revivals. I don't know how that happened. And I thought they were like still fine. 2018, I thought NA was like really boosted. Like let's be real. And now I feel like it's worse than ever. So I don't know what happened in that like trajectory, right? Because they have like good orgs, like infrastructure, like live setup, blah blah. I think solo queue for sure pulls a big part of that, but that's just I think NA players' mindset as well, because players who play a lot of solo queue are still like top of their game. Like for example, Zen, he plays a lot of solo queue, and I watch him play closely, and he does some mistakes, but I think he plays very well, and I feel like it's like a team game. He's just an AD carry, right? So he can't do much, but he's playing really, really good, I think. So, yeah, it's, I don't know, play more League and watch more replays, and you should improve. Like at some point, actually, I just wanna like, I honestly just wanna go NA to test myself, like to see if I'm gonna become boosted or not. Like it's kind of like a challenge for me. I mean, I'm not saying I'm ever gonna go NA, but if I was, it would be actually like just for that reason, like to see if I can actually stay good, you know. And I think I might just probably be boosted at some point. Who knows, you know?
Well, I think like a huge problem with NA is whenever new players come over, like from Europe or Korea, the teams don't adapt to the new players they have. They adapt the team, or they adapt the new player to like the NA like style, the NA tempo, the NA speed of game, like the pushing side lanes thing and playing 1-3-1. That's so rare in NA, and most teams win by going to late game and scaling and having better team fighting, and they don't get challenged in the 1-3-1. Like the only teams that really 1-3-1 are 100 Thieves and C9, and because the best team is TL and they get smashed by TL who does this late game team fighting thing. I mean, that's just a strat that everyone tries to copy and do. Where you mentioned like the 2016 TSM, or was it 2016 TSM, the one with Double Lift and Bjerg, they actually played aggressive and they played off side lanes too, and they doped side lanes and they actually ran 1-3-1 properly. But after that year, TSM really changed, where they became much slower of a team and they did nothing early game and they won in mid and late game. Like they became what TL is nowadays. And I think after that year, after TL or TSM failing to make it out of groups and them changing their playstyle, NA's never been the same, and we just slowed down so much. And even now, when I think of TL as our top team, it's kind of depressing because the way TL plays, I don't think would work in other regions. I think they would get challenged so hard by the teams that know how to 1-3-1, that know how to side lane pressure a lot better. And they just win in NA because they're the best mid and late game team. And it's really hard for TL to improve in NA because they don't get challenged here. They can do that style over and over again and win. So they're not really forced to change other than to like challenge themselves.
Well, wait a minute. Even though I agree as a general premise, Local, like I will always obviously agree with that. Like this is the reason why I get why people want to do Korean boot camps. Yeah, if someone forces you to improve or you get smashed, yeah, that will make it most likely you will improve. But if you are like a great competitor, if you look at any great like sports star or like chess player or something, all of them have what you just said at the end there. It's not like some of them also like, you know, work to improve themselves no matter what the opponent's level is. Like that's all of the great players do that. Like that's something you pretty much have to do if you want to be a great team or player, right? You have to only challenge yourself. Like if I was at Team Liquid with what you've just said there, it's actually totally logical how they could improve. Like just because we win these games in the late game doesn't mean we did it right. We should actually be trying to win the early game even against these bad teams, you know. That would be the mentality to have.
Yeah, I mean, if I was still, I would for sure play to end the games at 20 minutes in NA. Like, I would for sure play to end their Nexus at 20 and not at 35 plus, right? But they're not, like, I still think they're good. Like, when I watch them play, I see that they know how to play League, right? So
exactly. What I would do is this is how I would coach Team Liquid so they'd get really good, Loco. When they go into draft, I would put one of those oven pizzas in, like a frozen pizza, but one that goes on a low setting, because then it takes about 15 to 20 minutes, you know, and it's like I start cooking it then, and as soon as you guys finish the game, you can come have the pizza, right? So if it's like 40 minutes, it's all burned now, you've ruined it now, look at that, a pizza's shit, but I'd make them eat it as well, like eat that burnt pizza, and then if they come at like 20 minutes, it's all delicious, all the cheese is all melting and stuff. It's like, see my approach? Like, I understand how Americans work, y'all are all about food, y'all want the reward that's the short-term gain. I'm giving you pizza when you win the game. What more do you want? Like, I think I've got it nailed. I'm gonna move aside, Weldon. All you're doing is telling people like, look at the watch, pay me all your money. I mean, win the game of League of Legends. See, I'm actually giving you real stuff that works. I'm giving you techniques that work for Americans.
Oh, actually, that's a great topic.
And then have all my team working out with shake weights, you know, just to keep their wrists loose, you know.
Perkz. So Doran is convinced that Weldon is a snake oil salesman and he's not an actual coach. What did Weldon actually do on G2?
That's definitely not what I've ever said. Definitely.
Okay, what do you say about Weldon then, Doran?
I've said it about a million times that he is an okay coach, but he just oversells how good he is and uses magical techniques that don't exist.
Okay, so Dorian has a negative point of view on Weldon. What's your point of view on Weldon, and what did he do on G2?
I like Weldon. Let's start with this. I like to work. I like to work with Weldon. For us, he was there. He was like he was there once like per 2 weeks. He'll be like once per 2 weeks, and he'll be there for like 4 or 5 days. So we would have like basically one scrim, like 2 or 3 days of scrims, and then 2 days of LCS with him. And we would have like we back then would have a lot of problems in G2. Like a lot of like back then players were not nearly as mature as they are now. And like I can say that for myself and my teammates back then. Like my teammates now are more mature than we were back then. And we had like a lot of like kind of like mental problems, right? Like mental blocks, or like getting like tilted, or like Veldon was not a macro coach for us. Like let's put it straight, right? He was not a macro coach. He was not coaching purely League of Legends, but he had some good ideas of how to connect like mindset in game, versus like where you're learning, losing or winning, how to play when you're losing without giving up too much. And like he had honestly some really good points where I was surprised that he had those good points, because I didn't think he was gonna give us something very useful. And also he had these workshops and stuff which made us closer as a team and made us like have conflict and ask questions more and stuff. So in general, I would say Veldon was the most useful coach I had back then, because I had 3 coaches back then, and I think Veldon was the most useful one.
What
But
was the
also,
3? It was Youngbuck, Weldon, and who was the third?
and Sharks, like Sharks. Yeah, so I had 3 of them, and Veldon was doing, for me, he was doing the most, and I think the rest of most of the team felt the same. Only problem, actually, the biggest problem with Veldon back then was that we had 2 Koreans, so they would not understand half of what he was saying. That was actually the biggest problem for us, because if they would understand more, it would maybe be more useful, you know. But for the 3 of us, because I spoke with Sven and Mitty, and Mitty told me like, I think Veldon is really useful, and I'm like, yeah, I think he's like, so I mean, he has some stuff where he just says something stupid, but everyone has this, right? Like no one is perfect, and TLDR, I like to work with Veldon, and that's it.
Surprise, Doran.
You're so mentally ill, Loco. It's unbelievable, mate. Like, what are you
But
talking about?
he's
As though he's just going to flame him on the show. No,
he's not the magical guy.
Even though for literally even though Perkz would benefit nothing at all, he's going to come out and flame him right now, even if it was true. So, first of all,
Perkz doesn't benefit. Perkz doesn't benefit from flaming other
everyone.
people, but he flames other people so easily. Like throughout the show, he flamed people.
Oh, right. Yeah. Who is he flaming? Teams he's never played for, players he wants to fucking beat and want to think, well, you're an idiot, mate. Oh, go on then. Let's. I'll just get someone else on the show, right?
You have a point, Doran.
I know, isn't it? Like, come on, mate. It's totally logical, isn't it?
I always feel like you down on Weldon, and like you don't give Weldon credit where it's due.
You didn't even listen to what he just said. This is how biased you are. He just essentially told you he didn't coach me in any way to do with League of Legends. He just helped me with my mentality and then how to perform in the game, which is, by the way, a different type of coaching, sports psychology training. And then at the end of that, you're such a moron. You took your own statement, which is like, you think he's not even a good coach. He just told you he didn't even fucking do any coaching.
That is coaching. That's what he's talking about, like coaching other aspects of the game.
It's unreal, isn't it?
Oh my god.
I'm just gonna like let you guys.
It's unreal, isn't it?
Doran, do you want to have a different topic for Perkz?
No, because he has to go on about 2 minutes to me.
Well, Perkz, any final words? Anything you want to say?
Well, I guess it's the time where I thank my fans and my family and everyone else. So, okay, I'm gonna go. Let me start. I would like to thank my family for supporting me, even though they will probably not watch this. I would like to thank G2 and everyone in the org. They're gonna watch this, for making everything go even like better than the plan in the off season and stuff. I got everything, like literally everything I wanted. So it's such a blessing to have such a good org behind me, and Carlos as well, who has made everything basically possible, right? And then thanks to my fans for following me and supporting me on my journey of becoming the best AD AP player for G2 esports in the world. And Yeah. Also, thanks to my teammates. Yeah, if my teammates told me that I'm gonna be bad AD, like Wunder and Jankos, I would not go AD. I would just stay mid, and we would just play another year.
I guess it depends how you ask the question, though, doesn't
just
it?
lose to Fnatic again.
Problem is, though, it's how you ask them the question. Like, if you came to them and said, "Hey guys, do you think I should switch to AD?" That's different from if you said, "Hey guys, I think I can get Caps to play mid. Do you think I should switch to AD?" They're like, "Yeah, oh, I reckon you could. I think you could do it. I believe in you, actually. Yeah, I believe in you. You could do it. Yes." The only thing is, though, here's the thing. Right? I know Perkz, because in the early days people thought you were cocky, and obviously NA fans don't like Europe anyway. You know, a lot of people were like hating on you with like the memes about Rise and stuff when you did badly. But I'm just going to say to all the fans out there, you guys should love G2. You should love Perkz. I tell you why, because if you don't, he'll take all your fucking best players and you'll be done. So you better hope your team doesn't beat G2 or they're done. It's over for them.
It's true, yeah. It's true. Like, if someone beats us, then we're just gonna get them next year. Like,
Exactly.
What's the point?
Exactly. Yeah. There we go. Thanks, mate.
All right.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on,
Thanks,
Perkz.
guys, for having me. Thank you for having me, and yeah, have a nice day, evening, night. Yeah.
I actually want to start with like the whole NA-EU topic because I think that was like a really big one.
All right.
Do you think NA could ever catch up to EU, like with how things are now?
Well, here's the thing. As we discussed in that topic, the best NA teams are always good. Like anytime NA has a really, really good dominant team. So like the TSM teams of the past, Team Liquid, when Cloud9 was really good, like Season 3, Season 4, those teams can obviously compete with the best European teams. It's a bit like, think about in the old days, right? When even if LPL as a region was worse than LCK, if they made a really good team in LPL, of course it would have a chance against LCK teams. So I think the top end is always good. The difference is I think the aspect is like basically, even if the teams were identical, so let's imagine G2 and Team Liquid are the like identical strength, just for the sake of the premise, right? It's like he said there. If you have a better like practice environment individually, you're going to improve individually. In theory, you know, like as a general rule, unless the person does, like I said, a great job preparing themselves even when they have worse opponents. And obviously, you're going to have even the teams that are 4th or 5th have a better chance of winning a game off you. So that keeps you on your toes more. You have to prep more. Whereas, like, I actually think, even though by the way, in LCS at the moment, whenever Team Liquid do interviews, because they're undefeated, yeah, obviously they trash talk and make out like, oh, all of our opponents are trash. They don't really believe that. But obviously it feels too easy for them because it does feel like they can never lose the game, right?
Well, I just feel like NA teams don't get challenged in the ways they should, and like there aren't enough teams like C9. I don't think NA can be better than EU in terms of like we just been doing it wrong where we keep importing Koreans and Europeans and then we try to assimilate them into NA. It's really important like we grow our own players under like really good coaching and like teach them how to play the game the right way like C9 does. And none of the teams are doing shit like that. So it's hugely fucking problematic. So I don't know. Future of NA seems pretty bleak unless like more of the academy players develop, and I'm not sure like how things are gonna change up. Like all, as you said, like TL getting challenged or like G2 getting challenged, all that stuff. I think it's minuscule because like that's just in the now, right? Like what happens in the future and how NA can be better is through academy players and giving academy players more chances and actually using our homegrown talent. And I'm not sure how likely that is to happen.
Sure. Like, the thing is, I don't hate on NA. Like, first of all, they definitely have had some good teams. But, like, the complicated thing about this is another reason that the problem is this is a really hard point to articulate. But think about the difference between how the best EU teams and the best NA teams have done generally at Worlds. So, you know, it's famous at this point in time that the number 1 seed from NA has done badly, like almost every
But it's
single
always
time.
one tiebreaker apart. Like in Worlds,
Sure.
I think every year it's one tiebreaker that's separating NA and EU from like one major team, like making it out of groups or not. Like infamously.
Yeah, but the problem is that's like a whole game's still a big difference. So like here's the problem. This is the thing that NA always does that tilts the fuck out of me, Loco, is people don't seem to understand that when you have the seeding system that Riot uses, where if you're from NA, you get to be a top 4 seed in the tournament, basically. And crucially, if you're the number 1 seed from NA, you can't play the number 1 seed from China, number 1 seed from Korea. That actually should make it more likely that NA gets out of groups, you know.
I mean,
That's better. Like,
you
if
have
I
one number one seed also. It's not just NA having number one seed.
Yeah, and we don't need the excuse. We're getting out of groups. We don't have to make some bullshit excuse. Oh, the Loco 7 times. It was so close. It's like, nah, but you know what? Here's the great thing about, I always say this, Loco. This is the reason why, to me, potential is the most bullshit word in the world. Because potential is just what could happen. Like, it hasn't happened yet. I will always take what has happened. It's like, that's why I told you. I'm not claiming to be a prophet, by the way, when I said that I thought Soaz was better than Whipple. It's because Soaz has already had a godlike career and he doesn't show any signs of slowing down. Whipple's only given me like a year, maybe even a bit less. So it's like, the difference is maybe one day Whipple could be as great as Soaz, but he's got a long way to go to do that, you know. So it's like, that analogy explains the way I see the game generally. And like, I'd take what you've got now over some concept of brilliant genius. It could happen. Oh, it wouldn't be amazing. And the other aspect is, here's the area where NA could definitely win, by the way, is, you know, the old meme that people used to have of like, the thing that the NA region is the best at is having money. That was like the joke people used to say back in the day of like the LCS era. Yeah, but that is the advantage. Like, if I was NA, you know, everyone keeps talking. Like, one thing that tilts me, Loco, is people who like to, it's like, you know, when people post, I'll give you an example. You know, when people post on social media, they put like, guys, we need to have a very serious discussion about mental health in our community. Except that's it. That was the discussion. Just them posting the tweet, and then they feel like, oh, great. Well, now I've had the discussion. I feel great now. I'm just going to go on with my life. They don't actually have the discussion. You know, there's nothing important happens. It's like they get it off their chest by saying that. NA has said for years in interviews, we need better infrastructure, better infrastructure. Like, where is the infrastructure? Like, if I was NA, I really would do some of the things that I was talking about before. Like, for example, I'm not joking, Loco. You want to know a great thing that I would do if I was like, if I was Reginald, or I was like Jack Etienne, or I was Steve Arneset. This is a real thing I would do. I would, during the split, fly in a bunch of the top Korean solo queue players and do like in-house scrims with my team, and have them play on solo queue with us all, and be in solo queue and improve the solo queue for us all.
That seems ridiculous.
But if it worked, though, you don't think that's a cool idea?
I think that's a cool idea, but I'm not sure how realistic that is, and I'm not sure like what the future of that would be. Like, just flying in random top Korean solo queue players.
I'm just giving you something as a cool idea in the short term. That's the point. And by the way, think about this logic. If I do that, but then Reginald does that as well, and Jack does that as well, all of a sudden we've got a fucking good solo queue. All of a sudden we've got all these good players, right? And crucially, we're not wearing them out. It's not like normally where NA brings in the Korean player, they give him a load of money in exchange for his soul and his skill level, and then he comes and becomes an NA player. They're going back to Korea, the motherland. They're going back to the source code. They're becoming Korean again. Then I bring them back over again, and we play.
I think. Do you think that's better direction than investing into academy player? I think investing into academy players and investing into new NA talent is the only way NA can.
Here's the problem. I agree that they don't do a good job with the academy players, but part of that is like a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like, as much as you said, Loco, remember what everyone's argument for franchising was? Oh, when you can't get relegated anymore, we'll try all these new players more. Yeah, I'm still waiting, Reginald. I'm still waiting, all you motherfuckers who said you'd have a sub for every position and that you'd have to actually compete for your spot and that you'd actually go there. It never happens. You're all liars. What you do is you give them one game like you used to in the LCS, by the way, if it was going badly. And if it doesn't work, you bring back the fucking other guy. So I'm not exaggerating, Loco. If you were a team, like, so, okay, I understand why Team Liquid, why Cloud9 are going to play with imports, because they've already got a good enough team now. You may as well get the import and try and win right now, okay? But say you're a team who has money, but your team's middle of the table anyway. Yeah. I would be, if I'm that team, that's where I would use what people said was the benefit of franchising. But we can't get relegated, right? So we've got time to work here. So if I'm a middle table team, but I've got money, why don't I invest it all, like you say, into getting, let's get an all NA lineup. I'm going to get the best NA players I can. They did in a way, but the problem is a lot of those players are like legacy players still. I know what you mean. They've got some. I agree. They're actually probably doing a better job. Yeah. If anything, they're doing a better job than the other teams have done developing those talents because they're actually letting them play in LCS. The problem is having that player play in academy. It's just not like LCS. Like, it doesn't matter how good they are. That's why it's not a joke. Every season, Golden Glue plays in academy. He's one of the best players, mate. Mm-hmm. So that's not hating on him, but showing that it's not as serious because obviously his nerve issues don't affect him. The level's lower, even worse, because people think when they're in academy, like, oh, I'm just here to try and get in the LCS. I don't think people ever have a feeling that it's like a real team. Like, I wish they did. I wish it was like, in China, the LSPL technically is just like a second league. It's not just supposed to be like the league below it. It's supposed to be its own league. Like, I wish they really invested in that way. That would be the future, in my opinion.
What, like Academy being its own league?
Like, yeah. Here's the thing: nothing can replace actual games on stage.
Mm-hmm.
So just having my dude in my academy who's growing up. If anything, I tell you what, this is the dumbest part about NA. I might do a piece on this topic because I've got so many examples I could give. You know what the dumb thing about NA is that you guys do develop talent, but what you do is the way you develop talent is you do it simultaneously to the really good players you have, and then because you're so short-sighted, you always want to have the best player possible right now. You develop the talent, and then they go to other teams. Like, think about it, Loco. Why? Like, if me and you were making a team for this year, and I told you as one of the options, I could get you Smoothie to play with Doublelift. That's a pretty good pick, right?
Mm-hmm.
Smoothie was in Team Liquid. They let him go.
Yeah, I mean,
they developed him and let him go.
Steve hasn't.
You know what I mean?
Steve hasn't had the best in terms of like keeping players. I mean, Hunter was on TL, Smoothie was on TL. A lot of the top tier players weren't on TL, and then I mean, Steve let them go because he wanted the hottest. And
he wanted the best roster on paper now. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's not like there wasn't talent. It's just that even the talent that was developed, like it wasn't like the whole point is if you're going to commit to the infrastructure idea. So the best example ever, I'll give you a sports example, Loco. Probably the best example ever of how infrastructure affected a team is in football. It's the player Lionel Messi, the Argentinian player, right? Mm-hmm. Because what people might not know is the reason why his career is very interesting in soccer is because he basically has played for one club his entire career. Mm-hmm. And he even joined that club when he was on like the youth team before you're in the proper team. And what happened was when he joined this team, the coaches saw like this guy's insanely good. So they literally, not only when he was on the youth team, they started planning their entire club around him. And so, for example, they brought players from that youth team with him to the real team. Mm-hmm. And then in the team, they kept the team together for as long as possible. So it was like the same like core players for years, like 10 years or something. Well, that approach is how you develop talent, because then you benefit from all the talent, right? The problem with NA is like they go half and half. It's like if someone has a bit of talent, it's like, right, I'll let you play on my academy team, or maybe you can like try out for a spot. But it's like, what's the odds he's going to replace like Xmithy or something as a jungler? You're probably just going to side with Xmithy, aren't you? You need to commit to that guy. If he's actually good, you've got to go all out.
So
like Wiggly and CLG now.
Okay, for example, Tactical on TSM Academy is pretty good, and I would say he's probably one of the best Academy players. Then if you were in TSM's shoes, that's what you would have wanted them to do? Use Tactical over Zben?
Oh, he's the AD carry?
Yeah, he's the AD carry.
Well, the problem with that is Zben's one of the best players, so I probably would go with a different position. But yeah, I would, in theory, if you put it this way, here's what you have to ask yourself, right? Is can this guy Tactical be better than Zben one day?
Yeah.
If the answer is yes, then you probably should. Yeah, you probably should put him in now.
Now, really?
Why not?
I mean, TSM. You don't think teams are always balancing fan base and sponsorship and how much they're always fighting to be profitable and they're always bleeding money every single day, and one of the core parts is like winning, right? Like TSM fans are so angry whenever they don't win. Don't you think the subreddit would be in an uproar? We got a fucking academy player over Zben. Like, what the fuck? Does Andy not care about TSM anymore? Does he just want to save money? You don't think?
Which is it? Mm-hmm. Here's the thing in life. I've never seen a scenario where you can choose both. Mm-hmm. You can either have a short-term advantage or you can have a long-term advantage. Like, if you diet now, mm-hmm. you lose out on having the lovely snack now, don't you? But in the future, you gain less weight. If you have the snack now, it's great, but you're going to gain weight. So you can't be like the fat girl who's like, oh, why am I fat? Delicious cake. It's like, well, there's the answer, isn't it? Like, which do you want? Do you want to lose weight or do you want to enjoy the cake? Either's good, by the way. It's cool to enjoy the cake. So like you're saying here, by the way, I think it's pretty cool that LCS is kind of like a bit like WWE. It's entertainment, right? So yeah, you're right. If I have like Sven, he's a really big name, he's a European player, which brings in a different fan base. Yeah, there's a benefit to that. But you can't do that and then complain, why aren't I winning worlds? It's like, well, there you go. There's the answer, isn't it, right? You never took any approach.
Man, working from like the team side of things, there is always internal pressure. So yeah, you don't think academy is good enough of a development stage for a young player? As you mentioned, like Golden Glue players.
Just look how few players come out of academy that ever even get a chance, you know. And here's the worst thing about Academy for me is I think teams kind of, or at least I don't know whether they consciously know it, but subconsciously I think teams agree with me, Loco, that they don't think Academy's real League of Legends. Because when someone does super good in Academy, that's not actually the reason they ever really get like picked up in LCS. Like people pick a player if, oh, my player's played with him in solo queue, they say he's really good, you know. It's like no one looks at Academy and goes, who was the best player in Academy? Who's the MVP of Academy League? Right, get him into my team now.
Wiggly.
You know?
Happened for Wiggly, happened for JJ, happened for Viper, happened for 3 players. I might be missing a few, but happened for 3 players.
Yeah, you notice the teams you picked there. Notice the teams you picked there?
What? FlyQuest.
Well, none of those are top teams.
I definitely like top team. Like you think an Academy player is going to come out and join a top team and be better than like a top team player?
Why
like,
can't he?
You're asking why can't a young player with
you know what?
less
I've got a great
be
analogy
better than
for
a
you.
player with more experience?
I've got a perfect analogy for you, Loco, because I've had this debate many times in like StarCraft, for example. Mm-hmm. And in StarCraft, right, people always used to use the logic of like, but it's not that Koreans are better than us, but the problem is they just have a better practice environment. And I was like, okay, let's logically break that down. So what you're saying is Koreans aren't better than us. They're just better than us. At the moment, they seem better because they practice in a better environment. Well, what makes their environment better? That they're practicing against other really good Koreans. Mm-hmm. So logically, it is that they're Korean, you idiot. That's who they're practicing against. They're better because they are practicing each other. The reason NA is worse is because NA is practicing each other. So logically, like either you have to improve the practice environment, bring in players, make the whole thing better, or make it only NA players, and then we'll try and boost all the natural talent. Or you have to be cynical and do what you're saying, bring in an import, bring in the best player you can get for now in the short term.
I don't get how that explains how an Academy player is going to be better than an LCS veteran, like from the get-go.
They're not. That's the point.
Then that's the whole point. Like the Academy players are going to join bottom teams. You asked me like, hey, the players you mentioned, are they joining bottom teams? Of course they're joining bottom teams because they're not.
Yeah. Oh, I see what you're confused about. What I'm basically saying is this, Loco, is like, yeah, I acknowledge NA talent doesn't seem to be as good at the moment. Mm-hmm. The person to get on, Loco, isn't me. Remember, this is a perfect example where I'll turn it back on you. Are you ready? Mm-hmm. You know the person you need to ask, mate. Your friend Weldon Green. He said talent doesn't exist.
People say ridiculous stuff. Like both of us have gotten fired for saying.
I've never said anything as ridiculous as that, mate.
that's debatable, but
no, come on, mate. That's an outrageous statement.
That's just Weldon saying. Like I think what Weldon meant by saying there is no talent is everyone in the right environment with the right coaching and the right players around them can be a good player. Not there is no talent. Of course there's talent.
No, here's the problem. That's not what he said at all. Unlike you, Loco, I actually fucking listen to what the guy says. Like I've seen, first of all, he linked it to like a bunch of studies that were done years and years ago that were on this topic. And then he had a bunch of examples. I think one of the examples was like athletics in the USSR when obviously the Soviet Union used to put a lot of money into like athletics to try and like win the public battle of like our country's great and stuff. And his logic is that there is no actual talent doesn't exist. He's not saying what you're saying, which is a reasonable position, which is like, if you give someone a better coach and you give them a better team and you give them a better environment, they will accelerate to their maximum. Like they'll reach their full potential. Mm-hmm. That's a very reasonable position. As far as I can tell, his concept is nobody starts better than anyone. So to him, Faker wasn't really good at the beginning. Faker somehow, he doesn't know how, he can never explain a Faker, by the way. Mm-hmm. Somehow Faker just got trained. So someone trained Faker. I guess Coleman is the god then. There you go. Coleman's the best coach in the history of the league because he made Faker. There you go.
I think talent in video games is your upbringing, kind of education you were put onto, kind of habits that you build, kind of expectations you have. Like, for example...
Loco, I've known a lot of people. This is the reason why I think the talent doesn't exist. One is so crazy as a concept. Mm-hmm. I know so many... I would actually call them geniuses on some level, or prodigies, or, I know people in esports who... I'm not exaggerating. Mm-hmm. They actually don't have to play as much as other people. They might have to play a fourth as much. Like, Soaz?
Yeah.
Soaz can literally, he could just play like 20% as much as any other top laner. He'd have a chance of being as good. This is just talent. He just has insane talent, mate. Mm-hmm. You should see some of them in CSGO. There's some guys in CSGO, I'm not exaggerating, where the only times in their career they were ever bad is when they had no motivation and they weren't playing much. Mm-hmm. And every time they got motivated, they go right back to the top of the game. It's ridiculous, mate. Because you have to realize in that scenario, the person they're competing against, Loco, isn't a bad player. It's the other great players. Mm-hmm. And in fact, there's obviously great players who have to practice to stay great.
Definitely people have aptitude and talent for the game. I don't I don't think there is no talent. I definitely do think there's talent in video games, how you process information, how you do pattern recognition, and also habits you build from when you're younger, and like how you learn and pick up information. Of course, there's definitely talent involved in video games. Like, I think it's ridiculous to say there is no talent. And if Weldon did say that, like, I mean, I completely disagree. There is definitely talent in video games.
My point is, I'm not hating. I'm just saying that if his real premise exists, then he's the one who can solve all the problems, right? If there isn't talent, then it's just about how you coach people, how you set up the system. You realise, can't you see, Loco, in what I've just said there? Exactly why. That's a perfect analogy for why I don't trust people like Weldon. Because what he's successfully done there is, there's no such thing as talent. It's all about the infrastructure you have and how well you coach them. By the way, my entire job, I'm selling to you as I say this, is I'm a coach and I could revolutionize your whole team. It's like how self-serving and convenient a fucking philosophy that is.
Everyone is
that would be like me. That would be like me saying, you know what, Loco? The problem is, like, you can't really have a good league show unless you have like a ginger guy just berate people and be really rude. It's like, yeah, well, how convenient, Thorin, that you would think that. I mean, how convenient that would be, wouldn't it?
Everyone is self-serving. I don't think that's like a new concept.
I'm not. I'm here for free, just helping your bitch ass try and get some fucking views.
That's bullshit.
I'm like
that's
Jesus
bullshit.
Or something.
That's bullshit. Definitely, I will admit, like, you're helping me, but if this show didn't benefit you, if you didn't see a potential in this show, if you didn't see benefits to doing this show, you wouldn't do it. Fuck you. You're also self-serving.
Yeah, obviously, I'm joking. I actually made a video. I don't think altruism exists.
Altruism is, for people that don't understand, what is altruism?
It's basically the idea that you do something for someone when you, in theory, don't benefit. I actually don't think it exists as a concept. Like, I think even when, for example, say you do something nice for, like, I'll give you the perfect example. Let's say you're walking down the street and a homeless person says, do you have any change? And you give him $5 and you walk away. You never see that guy again, ever. You'll never know what happened to him. You don't even know if he used it for food, if he used it for drugs, right? In that scenario, that might seem like altruism, right? You just gave that guy the money to help him. No, because what's the real reason you gave it? Because you felt bad when you saw him.
To feel good about yourself, yeah.
Yeah. So here's the thing. That's not bad, by the way. That's a great thing. One of the great things about humans, in my opinion, is that if you actually, the best way to do something is not tell someone you should do it. It's actually hook them with the self-interest. Tell them, like, you know what, if you actually help homeless people, then there'll be, less homeless people. You'll have a better life. Like, people will be nicer. Like, that's a great way. It's selfish, but it's a great way to motivate people.
I mean, that's a really great point, the altruism thing, and like helping others because there's benefit in it. Like, being in esports for a while, and every time I receive help from someone, I always have like a slight question mark and a slight thinking like, why is this person helping me? What do they get out of this?
Sure.
And after the whole Golden Guardian, like, I think I told this story before, but I think it really connects. After the Golden Guardian situation, when Andy reached out and he was like, hey dude, like, is there anything I can do? Like, can I help you? Are you okay? Like, that's when I really thought differently of Andy, like, after all those years, because, like, I mean, TSM and I had a pretty nasty falling out. It's, at that point, my value as a coach, my value as, like, a personality or a content creator was the lowest possible, and Andy still reached out and still was trying to help. Like, that's when I was like, okay, this guy genuinely is my friend, and he's helping me to help me, and he's helping me because he cares about me, not because of, like, the benefits that I might provide him. That's why I thought differently of you also, because I mean, you've been an asshole to me, like, I would say 80% of the time we've known each other, but the 20% when you did help me were when I really did need help. So, yeah, I mean, maybe altruism doesn't exist. Maybe just people want to help other people for their own benefits, but
that's a good thing. That's what's weird, Loco, right? When I describe it like that, people would think it's a very depressing thought, right? Oh, there's no such thing as altruism, everyone's selfish. No, think about what I just described. Human beings actually enjoy helping other people when seemingly it doesn't benefit them. That's amazing. That's a mechanism we want people to have. That's a really good thing.
Oh, just because it's you and me, and it's something I've been super curious about. You know, the whole, like, I forgot the whole figure who it was, Alex Jones or something. Like, there's just controversial figures that you retweet or that you talk about, or like you using our targeted word, or like you threading the line. Like, why do you do that when it pushes you so in, like, a sponsor unfriendly, or like, I mean, my dream goal for, like, our show and, like, I guess myself in general is to, like, be on TV and, like, be backed by, like, super big networks or, like, super big stuff. Like, you're talented as, like, a broadcaster, but why do you limit yourself with some of your views? Because you can hold those views potentially.
Sure.
Just never retweet it, never talk about it, but, like, you actively choose to sometimes, like, shoot yourself in the foot because of it. And whenever, like, people talk about your if my friends talk about you, it always comes down to Dorian has a lot of friends, but Dorian also has a lot of enemies. And when I think of like the enemies you have or like the kind of shit you do, it doesn't benefit you in any way other than like just being petty or doing it for no reason. So like I was always curious
in the
about
examples you gave there, like first of all, I think the most bullshit opinion on the internet that everyone pretends to have is that you're never allowed to fuck up. Like if you talk for 1,000 hours, what are the odds that what you say is never going to offend anyone? Probably very low, right?
Very low, but you make it much higher due to the subjects that you choose to talk about and due to the way you talk about it.
I talk about what I care about.
But don't you also care about like your livelihood and your future and like your platform being bigger?
Oh, don't worry. I've already told you this, Loco. There are certain topics, like the one that you were talking about there, that I just don't address now. But that's not a good thing, by the way. Like you're saying it like it's a good thing. Like, oh, now you'll have a better career and stuff. Yeah, you know what? If people like me can't say it, who have a massive following, have years of success, all the reason in the world not to get fired. If people like me are in trouble, we're all in big, big trouble, mate. If I can't say an opinion, like the opinion you're talking about there, I never said any of the shit that people claim there. What I said is that this guy, I saw the gist of what I did in that tweet was like, I think this guy is cool in his own way. But besides, don't let other people tell you what to think of people. Do your own research. And people took that as like, so you agree with everything that person ever did or said? Like, that's just, that's a fallacious
Why do you
argument.
even mention it?
That doesn't stand up.
Why would you even mention like what that guy was talking
Because
about?
that's someone, do you know the context of what happened?
I have no idea about the context. I just know.
Okay, here's the basic context. That's like, that guy is the most famous conspiracy guy on the internet. So, when you go on videos, it's like, hey, JFK was killed by the government and CIA, people who do those sorts of videos. He was just famous for that. And in fact, the thing he was probably most famous for on the internet is because most people didn't watch the videos. Most people just saw like the funniest clips, it's like if you took a clip of me or you ranting about something, we'd seem super crazy, right? Because it's like you're just in the moment, you just get letting it go, like it's emotion. So most people just like it for fun. But the thing is, because he did all this conspiracy stuff, he was literally basically what you'd call unpersoned. He was deleted from YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. He can't be on any of these things anymore, right? So the reason why I said something, Loco, is because I don't think it's a good society where we just remove people from society and they're just banned from ever talking. Like, there's a famous quote, like the best, what the cure to bad ideas is? Good ideas. You beat someone's bad idea by listening to what they're saying and then responding to that opinion. There's a great concept about censorship I want to tell you, right? Which is, people think the worst thing about censorship is like, say you censor me, the worst thing about it is I can't say my opinion, right? That isn't the worst thing. The worst thing is you can never know what my opinion was because I can't speak. So if I had an opinion that was really important, like, for example, the government is corrupt or I'm going to expose something that's happened, you could never know it. You're the one who suffers, not me, because you never get to know what the information is. So we can't have an open society.
I mean, it's not the people suffering. Like, someone else fills that space. Someone else has a different opinion from yours. Someone that's more powerful than you, that's more higher up than you, get to
I've always said this,
that
Loco.
other opinion.
I always say this, right? So the example I always give is like, me and Richard Lewis have a similar type of people who are like haters of ours, and they always use the same angle. Like, you're not a real journalist. Like, you're biased. Like, no one should ever support your work. I always say this question: show me who the really big level esports content creators and journalists are who aren't like us, who are really nice people, never give any controversial opinions. Show me where those huge people are.
Travis Gafford.
Right. First of all, go and look how many Twitter followers Travis has.
Like, I would imagine 150, 100K, somewhere
okay.
around there.
Why does he have less than me?
You've been doing it for longer. Your content.
No. You're wrong. Travis was in League of Legends before me, and League of Legends was a way bigger game than Counter-Strike.
Travis has less controversial opinions, and less, I guess.
People are less interested. I'm not hating. It's just a fact, right?
Yeah, maybe. But Travis is still big enough, no?
He's doing all right, but then again, what does he do? You know what? I did what Travis did, mate. You know how you toe the line. You get like a decent amount of success, but you don't ever get in trouble. You never give your opinions. You're the guy asking the question, not giving the answer. What? Think about the only moment in my career I ever started to get in trouble is when I was the person giving the answers. So I now became part of the show, therefore I can be criticised. When I was just a guy behind a camera, yeah, you know what? I had an amazing rep. Everyone thought I was amazing. No one knew anything about my opinions. I also didn't make loads of money and I didn't have a really satisfying life. So I'd choose this over that any day.
Really? Like, don't you?
Of course.
Don't you? Doesn't the hate ever get to you? Don't you ever get poked at enough where you're like, damn, this is a lot of bullshit?
Everyone does. Everyone has a day, where you're just like, oh, fuck this or whatever. But first of all, like, this is exactly why you need offensive opinions, because you know what? The more hate you get, the easier it is to take.
All right.
Don't you agree?
Regarding like the offensive opinions and stuff, and even in the nature of like continuing this show, the more offensive opinions we have about people, the less guests that we can get, and the less, like, even for interviews, right? Let's say you had a really offensive opinion about random player, about Bjergsen. Doesn't it make it less and less likely that you can get interviews with Bjergsen?
Yeah.
And doesn't that hinder you for the future?
Here's the thing, it does in a way, but actually, if you notice, my career is proof that it doesn't have to. Because who's been more offensive in terms of like opinions about players? Because here's the point, right? We're not talking about like, I've never said like Bjergsen should be killed or something. Mm-hmm. No, what would offend Bjergsen is the idea that instead of saying, you know, you're a bit too passive in lane, and I think you've let like your skill level drop off because you're in NA and you're kind of taking it for granted. Mm-hmm. Instead of saying that, I would say like, oh, he's shit now. Look, he just fucking baits in lane, and like he's doesn't have a killer instinct. So I'm saying the same thing, but the way I say it might offend him, right? Mm-hmm. But the way I say it's why people watch the fucking show. True?
Maybe. True.
Here's the difference, Loco. Mm-hmm. The world you're describing, where we never give any opinion that could be controversial, because remember, any interesting opinion could be offensive. Mm-hmm. If we never give any interesting opinion, you're right. We could have the best shows, best guests in the world. We could have all of them, right? Mm-hmm. But here's the problem. The show can only be as good as the guest. Mm-hmm. What I designed with my content is every show can be interesting because I'm on it.
Mm-hmm. So where you're providing the value, not the...
Some of it, not all of it, obviously. You know, I want the guests to do a lot as well. But the idea, if you notice, the episodes that are the least interesting are the ones I go the most ham on. I've figured this blueprint out, mate. I know what I'm doing. If it's a really interesting episode, I'll chill out. I'll let people talk about the game.
Then what do you think of people like Kelsey, or I guess Kelsey not so much anymore because it doesn't work, but of like Emily and Fionn, like they never like, I guess.
Yeah, and they're the examples, mate. Mm-hmm. And they're perfect examples. You know, Kelsey came around in like, I think she came around, mate, I think it was the beginning of 2014 was when she started to get noticed. Similar with like, Emily Rand, I would say maybe similar year, maybe 2015. Right, these people, Loco, do way better in terms of analytical part of work, because that's not my strength in League of Legends. They're way better than I am. In terms of even writing, they're definitely at a similar level, maybe even better. You could argue, depends on what style you like. As journalists, they're very good. Mm-hmm. And you know how depressing it is that their careers haven't been gotten bigger.
I mean, Emily made it onto ESPN, but I do agree. Like, it's been very
mate, it's nowhere near, mate. Like, I know what you mean. Like, that's nice. Like, I'm glad for her, but like, here's the thing, people are full of shit, Loco. You know, when people criticize us, right, the way they will always criticize us is they will always say, you know, our opinions are stupid, or we didn't know anything about the game, or whatever. The same person doesn't then go and watch Emily Rand's work and go, this is amazing, I love this work. Mm-hmm. They're just liars. They're just haters, mate. Like, the whole thing is, it's like everyone commenting like, oh, everything nowadays is just sensationalism. They click on it themselves. You know,
it's a dangerous.
It's just reality, unfortunately, isn't it? Yeah,
it's a dangerous line because people do. So I'll give an example for our show. So our show, I used to not do clickbait titles and not do clickbait thumbnails, and then all my YouTube managers and everyone that I work with says your content is good, but you need to get people to click on it. You should make the titles as most clickbaity and the thumbnails most clickbaity as possible, because people won't even mind that you have clickbait titles as long as you get them to click and they enjoy the content. And we did start getting more views. Maybe it was because the show grew, but maybe it was because I used like the clickbait titles or the clickbait thumbnails, where I'm just sitting here thinking like, holy fuck, I don't want to do clickbait shit, but it seems like it is the future, and I do need to get onto this sensationalism, like fucking.
Yeah, but Loco, here's the thing. I actually had a video on my channel on exactly this topic, and it was called something like, "Your clickbait is my marketing." Because basically, what's bad, I'll explain it very quickly. The bad thing about clickbait is the bait part, right? It's the idea that you click it and you wanted to click it because it looked good. The title was like, Bjergsen says TSM is shit. Mm-hmm. And then you click it like, holy shit. But then you listen to the interview and he just actually says that, yeah, TSM's having some problems at the moment. And you're like, I was baited. This was like, you were lying basically, right? Yeah. It wasn't true. But here's the problem. What if that it said, Bjergsen says TSM is shit, and he did say that in the interview? That's not clickbait anymore. That is what he said.
Yeah.
So what people don't understand is, if there is actual substance once they go there, well, it doesn't matter that you used an effective title to get them there. It was legitimate. To me, it just has to be real. Like, you can't lie. That's when it's dodgy. Mm-hmm. But if we actually talked about that topic, why wouldn't I want to click it? That's like saying, oh, you just made your trailer for your movie really catchy, so I want to see the movie. Mm-hmm. Well, was it a good movie? Yeah, it was brilliant. What are you complaining about then? You know what I mean?
One final topic, and let's close out this show. So, because as you talked about, like, we are a very controversial show. We're not the most PG friendly, and a lot of the sponsorships that I get approached with, that I talk to, are actually sites like betting sites or like fantasy esports sites. What do you?
Sure.
Do you feel guilty at all about regarding maybe advertising betting or advertising fantasy esports, which is like putting money, basically betting or gambling? Like, because you had the whole thing with Alpha Draft, we did it with GG Esports, even though they weren't a betting site, they were just a fantasy site and a stat site, but they are like towing the line a bit.
Sure.
Do you feel guilty at all ever like advertising gambling to potentially kids?
Right. This is something local where, like, coming from America, I think actually you have your worldview is different to mine, mate. Like in England, betting isn't considered something morally wrong. Like, I'm not exaggerating. If you go to any of the towns where I was born, there's a betting shop on every corner, basically. Like, that's what people do. Like it's not a big thing with the youth. It's made, like, obviously nowadays everyone who bets who's young does it online, you know, through some app or something. But like famously, it's what, like, if you went into one of those betting shops now, what you'd see is like the old guy who like works as a plumber or something. You know, he's just finished his job. He goes in there, he sees the games that are on, and he goes like, "Oh, I'll put money on like that team." And the reason he does it is just to give himself a little extra thrill when he watches the game. You know, like instead of just watching for fun, now he's pulling for one of his team or the opponent to win because the odds are really good. It's just a way to give himself a little thrill, right? So it's not necessarily a good thing for his life, but it's like to that guy, it's like having a can of Pepsi. Yeah, it's not going to make you healthy, but it's not going to kill you either. It's just you're having a little bit of fun, you have some sugar.
If you drink too much Pepsi, you throw up. If you bet too much, your life is in shambles. Isn't the negative aspects really different?
Okay, so let's take that analogy. Perfect analogy. So there's people in the world, right, who, like you're saying, might overdose on Pepsi, or they might get addicted to Pepsi, right?
Yeah.
So does that mean? So because that guy gets addicted to Pepsi, can I not have a can of Pepsi? Because I don't have that problem.
Well, the thing is, we'll put less restrictions around Pepsi because the worst case regarding Pepsi is you throw up or you become sick.
Well, it's not really. You could, like, I mean, actually, I would say eating sugar every single day is probably one of the worst things. That's probably worse than gambling. Gambling, you just lose some money. You can fuck your whole health up with sugar, mate.
I mean, you could lose everything. You could lose your house. You could lose your family. Like, less people destroy their livelihood over Pepsi than they do with gambling. You have to.
I don't know about that. Have you seen America, mate? Have you ever seen people in America trying to get on a plane? Can I have the extra belt thing? And that's like the fucking. Have you ever tried being in a middle seat on a fucking cross-country flight from New York to Las Vegas, and two people get on, and it's like you're just like. Let me have the snack. And they're just over there, smell just coming off them, fucking watching, I don't even know what they're watching, probably watching something about food, probably just watching the fucking food channel, isn't it? Oh yeah, look at this chocolate fondue. What a ridiculous country. It's brilliant, but it's ridiculous, isn't it? No, here's the thing. Why would I feel guilty about that, Loco? Like, in that scenario, I'm not making anyone ruin their life. In fact, here's the thing that is very interesting, and this is a fact. You can go and check it. You know, I've done hundreds of those intros where I would just make up the intro for the sponsor that I had, like whatever gambling sponsor, I would make up a fun intro, right? Go and find any of those intros where I tell people, you will win money, you will get rich, like this will work for you. Never did it once ever. And yet I'm considered in the industry one of the best at doing that kind of marketing, right?
Yeah.
But the only way I market is I market exposure. Like, what's funny about those intros is I don't even usually talk about the products. I make it like wacky or whatever. All I make it is so that you remember the name of the company. So what I'm doing there is, if you wanted to gamble anywhere, your choice is where do you gamble? Well, now you know this site that I'm promoting. You just know it exists. I didn't tell you it's good. I don't tell you that you'll win money there. If you want to gamble, that's up to you. I just make it like it's your choice. I'm free, pro-choice. Except that obviously means something different in the world. But you know what I mean? I'm just in favour of people having the choice to do what they want to do. So I don't feel guilty doing it at all, mate. There's nothing wrong.
To be honest, I don't feel guilty either. And it was a question I wanted to ask you. But for me, the reasoning is a little different. I think if we were more like Yasuo, or we were more like Tyler 1, or we were more like even Pokimane, where our viewership was very young, like if our majority of our viewership came from maybe the 13 to 18 range, I would feel very, very differently about advertising gambling or advertising anything too adulty. But
you could just tell them you're supposed to, like on proper gambling sites, you're supposed to be 18.
Yeah. So, well, I checked my infographic for my YouTube, and I was actually super surprised. 99% of my viewership and viewership for Listen Loco is above 18. 99%. We only have 1% viewership between 13 and 17. I'm not sure what it's like for your what is it?
It's a similar thing.
Analytics,
Yeah.
but I would imagine the same. If I mean, I don't see why 13 or 17-year-olds would watch you, to be honest.
I actually think it's so overrated, the idea that like everyone watching esports is kids. I actually think most people watching, like if from my experience of like reading Reddit and when people talk about what they're doing, as far as I can tell, most people are like college students or they're like doing a job and they're all tabbing into Reddit when they're like at work, you know, to keep themselves interested because they're doing some boring job in a cubicle. To me, that's the people that I'm doing content for, you know. It's like someone who, that could be me.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people, they want our show on a podcast or on Spotify or whatever app because they're like, yeah, I watched or I listen to this whenever I'm in the car. I listen to this at work. This helps me get through work.
Sure.
So,
No, by the way, I do the same thing. Like if I'm traveling, I love to put podcasts on my thing and just listen to them or whatever. Of course, it's a brilliant way of doing something in it. You put it in the background. If you miss a bit, who cares? It's entertaining, keeps you going.
yeah. But after GG Esports, when I was looking at sponsors, like the biggest ones were gambling, and still the ones I'm talking to are gambling sites. And it was something I was, I guess, a little bit uneasy about, and I did want to talk to you privately. But I mean, since we were doing just this like one-on-one setting, I was like, hey, this is something I did actively want to ask Doran and like what he felt about it and how he viewed like advertising gambling on like an esports.
Like put it this way, I wouldn't actually have a sponsor who I think is actually a bad product. Like I'll give you an example. Say a company contacted me tomorrow and they were like, oh, you know, we make this like graphics card and we want to sponsor your channel to get it popular, you know. And say I Google it and then all the reviews are like, oh, it's actually like fucking bad, like it's really overpriced. I wouldn't take the sponsor, mate.
Okay. So
because the key thing is, if you actually think the product is good, you're not lying when you then tell people about it being good, are you? They know it's an ad. You tell them this is a fucking ad.
Did you use Alpha Draft when, what is it, you were sponsored by Alpha Draft?
I didn't used to play it because I don't really care about gambling personally, but I have played it for fun because I was sponsored by him. Yeah, it was all right. Like, here's the thing: as an actual concept, like I said about how the old men like play betting, I could see why people are into it. Like, it does make the game a lot different when you have like, you know, you've got this player needs to succeed, or you win money if they win by this much in the game. You know, if you do like the spread or what, like that makes it give you a little thrill. It's just not my thing personally. I personally wouldn't gamble. It's not something I enjoy, but if someone enjoys it and it doesn't ruin their life, cool. If it ruins your life, stop immediately. Like you have to have a personal responsibility. Like I think I've said this before, Loco. I hate the idea that like the government's our dad and it's going to tell us what to do. No, we're all adults. Whoever's in the government's just another adult like I am. Why the fuck would he tell me morally what I can do? No.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm, I guess, still on the fence about gambling, and it's not because of the American thing. American thing definitely does play a little part. It's more so like the Korean thing. The Korean, one of the biggest Korean esports was destroyed due to gambling and due to black marketing and due to match fixing. So
yeah, but that's the bad part. It's like, to me, okay, every tool can be used in a positive and a negative way. Like you can take a chair, and if someone snaps one of those chair legs off, they can kill you with that. It's a weapon. So should we ban chair legs? No, obviously not. It'd be ridiculous, wouldn't it?
there's a certain line though, right? Like a chair, the likelihood a chair would get used as a weapon versus like a likelihood a knife would get used as a weapon, right? There is like a certain threshold, like that people are okay
Great example, because knives aren't banned, Local. You need them to cut up in your fucking food.
Well, like you can't bring knives to like a CS:GO event or like a League of Legends event, but like you can bring other stuff like that don't have potential to get used as a weapon, and that would have to go through like extreme cases to get used as like a weapon.
Here's the thing that's whack is it's not okay, if people have a debate about drugs, okay, and they say, oh, drugs are addictive or whatever, well, the problem is drugs aren't legal, so we can't really know what would happen if everyone took them. We don't know how addictive they are fully, because only people who actually become drug addicts or do it in shady manner are taking part in the experiment, basically. Well, the good thing about gambling is around most parts of the world, it's been legal for hundreds of years now. So we can see that if you look around society, it doesn't wreck all of society. Like 99% of people don't have a problem with it. The 1% or whatever that do, I don't know what the actual percent, you know, it's a rough idea. Whatever percent do, yeah, they ruin their lives. But like I always say, that same person, it's not really gambling that ruined their life. It's whatever is inside them that they filled with gambling. Like whatever that hole is that they were using to distract themselves or that they were trying to feel good temporarily because their life sucks. Like that's not the actual solution to that problem isn't ban gambling, because then they'll just go and do something else. They'll go and start doing, like, here's the best one is, you know, in America where you can't do like proper gambling, you can still buy those scratch tickets though, right? The one that costs $1.
Yeah.
The people who are gambling addicts just go and get 50 of those, don't they? They'll find a way to do something.
Yeah, I guess gambling is just a method for their self-destructive tendencies, and they could use self-destruct using alcohol, using other drugs, or lottery scratch tickets, like you said. guess I feel
it's like, here's the thing, the line to me is, like I said, and by the way, the reason I've made that point about I've never said you win if you do the gambling is because that's what's different, Loco, is that is the problem I have with gambling, is when people lie in the advertising. Like, this happened, this was actually something that was a very minor scandal in Counter-Strike, Loco. Was the biggest Counter-Strike website is called hltv.org, because back in the day, you used to actually have to go there to go into the server to watch the game. You didn't used to have streams, obviously. So on this website, they have a lot of viewers, people who go to the website who aren't from like America and stuff. So their actual click isn't worth as much. So a lot of the sponsors they got were like not like very famous sites. They were like, they had like a gambling service, for example, that was called, I think it was called like CS Go Fast or something. And they were letting this company use the advertising, get rich quick. Or get rich fast. That was the advertising line. Well, that is literally a lie. That's false advertising. In my country, in the UK, if you did an advert like that, you would literally, the government would like fine you and make you stop the advert. It's called false advertising. Like, you're not allowed to lie and say that people will definitely win if they gamble. So to me, that is incredibly unethical. I've never done that. I've never said someone will win.
Okay.
In fact, I used to even joke and tell people when I did my gambling commercials, I'd even joke like, if you're a little pleb out there, just bet on TSM. I hope you lose all your fucking money at Worlds. I've done adverts like that. I thought it was funny.
Okay. All right. Well, it's 3 p.m. We actually did the show for about 2 hours. That's the mark I want to hit. Anything else you want to cover before we end the show?
Nah, that's all right.
All right, cool. Well, hopefully in the next few weeks we'll have a gambling sponsor.
Yeah, it'd be brilliant.
Gambling sponsor.
And here's the thing, Loco, that's obviously the most perfect sponsor for us.
Yeah.
Because whatever sponsor sponsors us is gambling their fucking brand anyway. So let's get someone who's gambling anyway. Let's all get together and let's all make that fucking bread.
Well, I think we are the perfect show for a gambling sponsor, because a lot of the cleaner YouTubers, like Travis would never do a gambling sponsor because his whole image is like be clean, and like all the League of Legends player would never do it because they're also be clean. For us, like, we're okay with being dirty, and the people that watch our show are fanatics about League of Legends. Like, if you are a casual fan of League of Legends, you watch Pokimane or you watch Sneaky or you watch Tyler One. Like, people that watch us are definitely super hardcore fans, so they feel like they know better than other people, and so they like to gamble. And also gamble.
You know what? I'm gonna go ahead and say this. I have to defend us for a second here, because the idea that they're all clean and we're all dirty. I just told you, when I advertise gambling, first of all, I'm better at advertising it than any fucking other person. And secondly, I never lie. I'm telling you, actually, it's a genuine thing. Like, this is a decent company. Like, I've checked it out. It works. You know, they don't rip you off. Here's the difference. Half the people in esports that you're talking about clean, they're out there advertising some dog shit head. Like, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and say it right now. You know, like those old headsets everyone used to have, like the Steel Series Siberia.
Yeah.
Those are pure trash headsets. They cost, the actual price point is terrible. There's a million headsets in the world that are better for that price point. Secondly, you're only buying it because it says fucking gaming and you've seen all the pro gamers wearing it. And then thirdly, the actual product is terrible. Like, they break so easily. In fact, I think they're even made, quite frankly, to be very easy to break because they want you to buy replacement ones. I always used to tell people this. The reason I always buy, like, this is like a Shure headset. I used to buy Sennheiser ones.
Sennheiser.
It's because those are like top quality headsets. Like, that headset will last you 10 years. So if your headset costs you $60, but you have to buy 5 of them in 10 years, well, add it up. That's actually costing you basically the same as my $300 headset that tests me 10 years, but mine's way better quality. So these same little fucks that want you to buy some dog shit keyboard for €200 because the keys come out if you smash your hands. Like, I'm actually selling real shit. These guys are out there selling their ass for anything on the corner.
Also, headset sponsors and mic sponsors, if you're watching, me and Doran are always wearing headsets, and we always have a mic on cam. Would be great.
Just make sure your shit's good.
Yeah, make sure your shit's good. All right, let's end on that.